what is the opposition side? Can you say in English? Gestures are hard to understand.
That's the other type.
Yeah. So, yes. So the other team get the ball, and they have a player who is usually designated to kick the ball out from here. Right? Hit the ground, and if you hit the post, or if you hit out behind, then the full back, right, one of the defenders, will kick the ball from this area here. So it's like in basketball, one person will throw the ball back in from underneath the net, yeah, or just next to the net. Okay. Then he says if you miss, if you hit any of the outside posts, it's called out on the full. So out, right, outside, right, out on the full. What is on the full? I'm trying to think of what the Japanese phrase is. I can't remember at the moment, but it means the ball doesn't bounce. It does not hit the ground. So you kicked it, and it has gone outside without touching the ground. Right? So that means out on the full. Okay. So if you kick it out on the full, then the opposition side will take a kick, except it won't be from here, it will be from wherever the ball went out. If you kick the ball out here, then the opposition kicks from here. Alright, we're nearly finished this. Let's have a look. Oh, it's just on that one. Sorry.
What happens, Luke, if you hit one of the posts?
I'll listen again. He will hit the post. You can't see it there, but here, you go, hit the post.
So let's see if Luke can score a goal from about 25 metres out.
Alright.
That has gone straight through the middle, so that's 6 points for a goal.
Here you go.
So that's a little bit of an introduction to Australian football. How to kick the ball.
That's not on here.
And how to score points. 6 points for a goal in the middle, and 1 point if you kick on the side or through the side. Yeah? So I'll explain a bit more about Australian football in class, but that's just a little bit of an introduction with my friend Luke.
Okay. Right. So, now, a couple of, one more thing. So, right footer, left footer was a couple of words I used here. What do right footer and left footer mean?
Like you like red.
You?
Right foot using right leg.
You use the right foot to do what? What does a right footer use their right foot to do in football? What do we do in football? What's the big thing we do in football? The main thing you do in football? Kick. I think you wanted to say, but you didn't quite say. Right, a right footer kicks with the right foot. Right? A left footer kicks with their left foot. And this is their dominant, right? Their stronger, or the foot that they are comfortable kicking with. They normally kick with the right foot. Right? Most people write with their right hand. They are right-handers. Right? So in sport, we can also talk about a right footer or a left footer in football, soccer, other things like where you kick. Okay. Our 4 types of kicks, do you remember what they are called?
Torpedo. Drop punch. Banana kick. Snap.
Okay. Do you remember the order that we looked at them in? What was the first one? So that's all good. So you got torpedo,
Drop punch.
drop punt,
Banana kick.
banana,
Snap.
snap. Torpedo, drop punt, banana, snap. What was the order that we looked them in? What was the first one?
Drop punch.
Okay. Drop punt. And what can you tell me about the drop punt? I wanted to bring my Australian football today, but I didn't have a needle. You need a needle to pump the ball up to there. Don't have a needle. But if this is a ball, right, then you will kick the ball like this, right? And the ball will spin, okay? Spin backwards, right? Kick it like that, and it will spin back, right? So we said that the drop punt is the most what kick? The most kick on Australian football.
Common.
The most common kick. Okay, so this is the common one. Okay, it's the easiest one to kick. Right? And yeah, common, easily the most common. The next one was Shihara-san, do you remember? Torpedo. Do you know what a torpedo is? Not the kick. You know what the word originally means. Ooh, no, but that's not a bad guess. A torpedo is a type of weapon. But it's not a weapon that a person holds and uses. Right? It's a weapon that we use underwater. Do you know what weapon we use underwater?
Submarine.
Yeah, exactly. So here's your water. This is my horrible drawing. Okay, you've got a boat like this, and it's got a thing, right? And under underneath opens and right, and it's spinning like this. Right, that's your torpedo. So why is this kick called a torpedo? We don't kick underwater.
Go straight.
Does it go straight? We want it to go straight. And we'll get to that, okay, straight or not, we'll get to that in a second. So apart from that, okay, what other characteristics, okay, what other, you know characteristics, what other characteristics does the torpedo share with the torpedo weapon? Okay, it's a long kick. So this potentially goes a long distance underwater, right? Most weapons underwater, they will struggle against the pressure of the water. Shoot it, it just goes down. So this is very strong against the water. I don't understand why, but right, it can go a long distance. It's very powerful, right? So this is a long kick, right? If you kick it properly. A lot of players make a mistake. They want to kick it, and if you don't kick it well, it is really bad. Right? It doesn't go straight, it goes that way, and only about 20 meters, right? Or that way, and instead of spinning like this, it goes, right? So it's difficult to kick, okay? But what else? It turns like this. So the main reason is the way it rotates quickly. Okay? So it rotates. What would we say? Well, like a torpedo, I suppose. The last thing, you said it goes straight. But does it always go straight? What did we say about accuracy? Right. Less accurate. What does accurate mean? Mima, do you know? What does accurate mean? Can you help her? Do you know? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Accurate. So it's harder to kick to where you want to kick it to. Right? The drop punt is usually very easy if you know how to do it, to kick to the person you want to kick to. Torpedo, very hard, which is why they often make a mistake and it goes everywhere. Right? So a torpedo is a long kick, right? So that's why people want to use it, right? They can get a lot of distance with the kick. But it is also very hard to kick and therefore less accurate. It doesn't always go straight, which is why the goal that we saw, the guy kick with the torpedo, was very impressive because from 60 meters away, he kicked very straight. The next one.
I had played rugby
Yes.
in my childhood.
Yeah.
Rugby pass is like torpedo.
Yes, it is. You're right. Yeah.
So pass goes straight. Two pass go straight for cut. So I think torpedo
Well, when you throw it, you're holding it. It's easy to control, right? You can throw it. But when you kick it, you drop the ball. So between your hand and the foot, the ball can move. So you have to be, have to control the ball very well so that it moves, it falls straight down to the foot. And you want to have very little space between the hand and the foot. So even though when you throw it and you spin the ball, it can move quickly and far and accurately. When you kick it, it is harder to do that. But yes, in rugby they do that because it is longer and maybe faster than spinning it, like that. Because that has more friction. The air will stop it. Yeah? Alright, so the next one. Banana kick. Okay. Why is it called a banana kick? Yes, I want to curve the ball. Okay, so you curve like a banana. Right? So if you check this with a ball, right? If I were to kick like that on the end of the ball, it would turn like this, and as it goes forward, it would also turn around. So you can get it moving like a banana. It is also a little bit less accurate, but it is very good when you are on a sharp angle and you have to kick the ball from here. Say this is the goal, it's very hard to kick straight. If you can turn the ball, it can come out and then go in like that. You've got an open angle. Okay, last one. Don't worry, this isn't the whole lesson. Alright, last one. Snap. What can we say about the snap?
Like shapa,
Mm-hmm.
shapa kick, and then opposite of banana kick.
Okay, so opposite of banana. So the banana, usually you kick to the outside, we would call the outside, that way. Snap goes the opposite way. Kick it here, goes that way. We'd say it goes inside, I suppose. So the opposite of the banana kick. Alright, so they are our 4 kicks in Australian football. And that's how we score. 6 points for a goal, 1 point in post, or 1 point to the behind. Okay. Now, if we look at what Luke says, we will find that he repeats himself sometimes. He says some things that aren't, generally speaking, correct English. Okay? And that can be why it is difficult to understand some native speakers. Right? So I'm trying to speak clearly so that you understand. I mean, I think you could understand anyway, but I want to make sure you understand. But someone like Luke, who is not an English teacher, right, it may be difficult to understand what he says. Okay? Now there was something else that I wanted to do with those. I really wanted to use the speaker for some more listening practice, and we could have used listening practice with Luke. That's why I got friends and family to appear in videos, because it would be practice to be just a little bit about Australian football, a little bit of culture. You may think, football, I don't care. But it's a big part of Australian culture, and also perhaps interesting, although we couldn't really hear very well, to hear someone else speaking English, native Australian. Okay. Alright, I want to very quickly teach you something about the word hairy. Do you know what the word hairy means? I might wait for this to load. No one's heard the word hairy before. Yeah, hairy, do you know what the word hairy means?
It's when your hair is getting too long, I forgot.
Gosh. Hairy, right? Hairy means you have lots of hair, right? I am hairy, okay? I'm hairy, right? So, if I can make a hairy dog, a hairy man, right? Maybe a hairy woman.
French ladies.
French ladies.
They don't shave their armpits.
Okay, I'll have to do it like this. Okay, this will work. Not quite ideal. I made something to post to the Instagram for the class, so I'll use that. So hairy, hairy. This creature is hairy, right? Kibukai. However, it does not just mean hairy. Okay, there are two other uses for the words, two slang uses that I will look at today. Here we go, and it's going to be big enough. To have a hairy. Yeah, that. Oh, don't do this. Okay, to have a hairy, right, means to get a haircut. Right? Now this is very Australian. Okay, very Australian phrase. My brother Daniel, my oldest brother, right? My mum sometimes will say, you need a hairy. You need to get a haircut. Your hair's a bit long. You need a hairy. Or maybe you notice that someone has had a haircut. Oh, you've had a hairy. So I'd say those are probably the main two ways we use this. You need a hairy, or I need a hairy. Or when you notice, oh, Harry's had a hairy. When did you get a hairy, Harry? Right? So to get a haircut. Hey look, James had a hairy. Everyone, look, oh, his hair was this long before. He's had a hairy. Looks like a different person. I think I need a hairy. So to have a hairy. Right? And then, this is a bit trickier, a hairy situation. Right? Driving in this weather could get hairy. Geez, you don't want to drive home now, do you? Look at the rain. I can see lightning. Oh, it's a bit hairy. Right? Have you ever heard this?
No.
Hairy's never heard it. Trust me, we do use it. I probably don't say it, but some people will say it. It is, well, it's slang, so it's casual, and maybe particularly Australian people, typical Australian people, will say this, if that makes any sense, right? Things are a bit hairy at home since Mum noticed my nose piercing, right? It's a bit hairy, it's really awkward, you know, I don't want to be in the same room with my mum, she's still angry at me, it's uncomfortable, right? So a hairy situation, well, we could say it's something that is maybe scary, how can we say, but it's probably a good word, I would say, because that has a lot of meanings too. So a scary, uncomfortable situation.
But would you be surprised if we use hairy suddenly? Like, oh, it's really hairy situation or something like that. Like,
If you guys use it,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, I taught you.
Okay. But it's just like...
Absolutely use it.
Yeah.
You might find that if you say it to Asai, for example, he won't understand, right? But no, of course, use it. You know, this is, you know, you want to learn to use slang, right? Because that's how people talk, right? And then I may not use it a lot, but it just adds something to the way you speak. And when you hear it, you'll understand, and you can sort of fit in a little bit better with native speakers. Gives more to your own identity. Plus, it's fun.
But if we use the American or English people in the UK...
I think hairy is not just Australian. I think British, American people would probably understand. I'm pretty sure it is used there. At the very least, they will understand. To get a hairy, they may not say it, but you could probably understand. Right? This is a very different situation. I suppose, think about it like this, right? Maybe you're cleaning in the living room and you haven't cleaned for a while, and you've got your sofa and you lift up the cushion on the sofa and there's food, stuff there, and then, oh, it's got hair on it. It's got fur and hair on it. Ugh, what is that? That's a bit weird, right? I don't want to touch it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, right? So maybe it's the same sort of thing. You're like that. I don't know what it is. It might be dangerous. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be a part of that, right? So driving is a bit hairy. No thanks, right? So a hairy situation, and to get a hairy, or to have a hairy, not get, to have a hairy. But of course, by the sound of it, you guys also learned hairy meaning hairy. So you now have 3 new words to learn today. Okay. Alright, now the last thing we're going to do, we've got 20 minutes, we're going to have some conversation, finally, okay? I want to know, okay, because we're now in autumn, and I asked you before, are you going to go and see a boy or somewhere? I want to know, let's write these questions up on the board. So, what is your favourite season, right? Do you have childhood memories from a particular season? You know, what, for example, my favourite season is summer. Now, summer is very hot in Japan. It can be quite hot in Melbourne too. But when I was a child, I played cricket in the summer. I played for my local club with my friends, and that's very nostalgic to me. So that is my childhood memory, and I still associate, I still associate summer with playing cricket as a child. Not just for my club, but also with friends like Luke from the video. We would play outside my house in the street. So that's one memory why I like summer. Another one would be winter, because I would also go to the snow every year. So even in Melbourne there is snow. You can go to the ski fields, and we would go to Mount Bauble every year because my father, who was a school teacher, my father and his colleagues built a ski lodge at Mount Bauble. They were one of the first ski lodges built on Mount Bauble. Now there's lots of them. But because he built that with his colleagues, he was one of the founding members, one of the first members, and then my family have been members. So when I was a child, every year I'd go to the snow and ski and play in the snow. So winter has a lot of nostalgic, right? Nostalgic memories for me. What is nostalgic? What do you think, what's the Japanese word, do you think, that I feel when I think about my childhood, playing sport with my friends, skiing, snow? How do you think I feel? Kyoshu? Like natsukashi? Yeah, kyoshu, natsukashi. Right, exactly. So nostalgic is your adjective. Something that's very nostalgic. What a nostalgic memory. Right, natsukashi. Nostalgia is that feeling. Nostalgic is a noun. Right, so I suppose kyoshu and natsukashi, because the adjective and noun, or just natsukashita. Right, so noun, the feeling is nostalgia, right? The memory, the time, right, that you are describing is nostalgic, okay? Right? So you describe a time or a memory, right? And this is the feeling itself, if that makes sense, all right? Natsukashi. So, do you have a favourite season? Winter, summer, spring and autumn? Right? In Australia, spring and autumn, they're nice, but they're different from Japan. Japan has sakura, koyo, right? Not so much in Australia. It's still nice, but it's different. So I don't have those memories of spring and autumn, but maybe you do. So think about, what is your favourite season? Do you have